Alright, Doc. This looks super strong. I woke up this morning, I was like, God, what the F is this? But um, overall context, I'm not so sure. Because there's just not, it's just pretty weak now, right? Like, let me delete this so we can see what this looks like a little bit better. Like, when I woke up this morning, this candle had taken out the high and was pushing the high. I woke up at like, let's see what time, what it was looking like at 9 o'clock. Yeah, see, at 9 o'clock we were like here. At 9 o'clock we were like in the mid 45s, like close to 46 when I woke up. And then ever since then it's just been dumping, dumping, dumping. Because we're at the top of the range, that makes a lot of sense. It's a little bit kind of like, excuse me, kind of like putting in a higher high within this trading range. So like I definitely think we should be revisiting this low sometime soon, probably today. Um, Possibly dumping lower. But at the same time, we are kind of like this is pretty real. This is what I drew yesterday. We have this trend line, right? I probably drew it right around this candle, this 8 p.m. candle probably. Um, and this one is quite nasty actually because usually when you see like this, you assume that we pump, then dump, and then come back again. But I'm pretty sure this time we dumped and then pumped and then closed here. So anybody who had stops underneath this trend line didn't really work out unless your stop was underneath like this low or maybe like this low. Maybe this low works out for you. Um, Excuse me. So this mall here, I mean, it's a mall, right? And we take out the high and come back down. That's just not a good look. Like I think too many traps up here. Um, Obviously, like above this, everybody's trapped once, trapped twice. Like they got trapped once, they came back down here. We took a shot at the high again, and because this is a mall outside bar, you are incentivized to. I mean, you're not incentivized because of the context, right? Let's go back to the other chart. You're not incentivized because of the context of we're at the top of a trading range. This candle itself is a trading range, right? A mall is always a trading range, and an outside bar is always a 1 bar trading range. But this 1 bar trading range happens to also be at the top of um, a more significant trading range, and therefore it's not as advisable to take a long at the top of the trading range, right? Because now you're taking a long at the top of the 1 bar trading range, but you're also taking a long at the top of the major trading range. It just so happens that the 1 bar trading range also happens to span the entirety of the major trading range, so it doesn't really make a difference as far as what your trade is, right? Like you still take the long above here, and your stop still has to be all the way down here, 6% away, um, which means that you have to be hoping for at least 6% as well. 48K, yeah, you have to be looking for 48 plus, which is not out of the question. But when you have this type of trading range here, I think it makes more sense that if we are going to push up to 48K, we probably do something like this, where like we still spend a little bit more time within this trading range and we start to put in higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. But it probably is going to entail us disrespecting the trend line. It's possible, of course, it's possible that we just do like this. And then maybe the only disrespect that we get of the trend line is like that kind of thing, where we just take it out and then pump from there once everybody gets trapped out of the trade. But I do think that it's pretty reasonable that we just keep doing some work within this range because there's just no clarity right now. There's really no clarity. Like this is our major trend line has finally been disrespected here. and we put in kind of a higher high test, but I wouldn't even really necessarily call this a higher high test. This is basically kind of a double top test. So now we need to see what type of reaction are we going to get from the double top, and then look for, we probably either look for longs at the bottom here, or we look for longs once we get to this EMA. I think a lot of longs should be taking profit, right? If you've been long since 37, 38K, probably you're taking profit up here in 45K region. And once you take that profit, you're probably not looking to rebuy until you get a reasonable looking correction, two-legged correction, right? Like you're probably not going to buy this until the second time it comes back. You're probably not going to buy this one right here, right? Because it's just too realistic. It's just too reasonable once we have this nasty swing failure that we do like this, right? And then you can get a better opportunity to buy here in mid 41s. So I think that most longs who are taking profit here are not going to be looking to buy back right here. And if they are looking to buy back, it's going to be just for a quick scalp because we're within this trading range. Like you maybe just buy it just because we're at the bottom of the trading range and we take whatever we can get. We get a little bit of profit. Maybe in the middle of the range. Maybe we get back up towards the top of the range and we take profit there. But I don't think that too many longs are going to be holding for a breakout of the high because it's just so much easier to just wait until you get like, it's first of all, it's just too probable that something like this could happen. So you really don't want to be buying the breakout. And the other thing is if we do break out, you might just get a pullback or two even, that you can get an opportunity to take an entry like in 46 near where you took your profit on your long. So like I think if you've been long from these areas, you're feeling pretty good about taking your profit here and being patient for a pullback because we should theoretically take a pullback back to this EMA, right? And let's see what it's looking like on the 1 hour chart. On the 1 hour chart, I'm going to just clear up a lot of this now. On the 1 hour chart, we've just been bouncing off the EMA. Tap the EMA bounce, tap the EMA bounce, tap the EMA bounce, brush through the EMA bounce, tap the EMA bounce. So like there theoretically should be another buy when we again revisit the EMA. But depending on how you draw this, like you could draw the bottom of the range here, defining with this point and this flip, or you can use like kind of this, something like this, maybe this flip, this kind of flip back in, and then kind of like these lows here. Like there's a few different ways that you can draw this, but no matter how you draw this, the EMA never is at the low. It's never at the low of the trading range. And if you draw it all the way down to here, that would be like flipping this level. The EMA is actually can be as high as in the middle of the range. So that makes it less of a probable buy. Although if before we have this, before this happens, we still have kind of in the middle of the thing. And so we did get the buy. But now this is just really, really violent. And this is just like ugly. It's just too choppy. It's like, again, we had kind of this channel here. And for a while, it was also even looking like kind of a wedge, right? So we built this wedge, kind of broke out of the wedge, confirmed a channel instead, and then went to the top of the channel, 1 push, 2 push, 3 push to the top of the channel, broke out of that channel, and happened to find buyers at this support again and again at this EMA, and then we took a higher high. So this kind of is just, this is not impulsive at all, like, right? Like the way that we had this move here, which by the way was also a channel, but this was a much more impulsive channel, right? Like we have clear 3, 1, 2, clear 3 strong pushes bears really aren't able to do anything. This is a much flatter channel, so there's much less bullish momentum here than there was here, right? And then, like we said, you can draw the entire move like that. This is very clearly like too much strength, too much impulsivity, right? There, 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 and then of course there at the end, right? Even this is quite strong, almost as well. You can say this is kind of a channel here. So as we can see, like channels are everywhere, right? We're always seeing channels, but this channel is a much weaker channel than every channel that we've seen before, and the impulsivity of the moves on this side of the white trend line, on this side of this trend line, much sharper, much stronger than what we're seeing over here. Even though we have taken a higher high, right? That is very much in part due to how strong we've been in our ability to hold above these levels, right? Above this level, especially in particular. But now we're looking like possibly bulls are really tapped out, really exhausted. Higher time frame charts, if you use RSI, you can see how much weaker the bulls are here. This is still reasonably strong, right? Like above the midline, it's still quite strong. It's still a bullish strength, and so I think it's very possible that we could see something like a cooling off, and then bulls can kind of like show some strength and take another shot up here, right? To go up to 48K maybe. I mean, imagine that these are in alignment. But yeah, I think we definitely need a little bit of a cooling off period here real quick before we continue. Daily candles are all strong, all still green, and we're still above this EMA. So we are, excuse me, we are making an attempt on the daily time frame to flip the MA, but this candle is going to be important because if we can close underneath this 44.4, I think there's a lot more of a case that we may not just keep continuing upward. Otherwise, like we could see like the tomorrow's candle, something like this. Like again, we come down to tap this EMA and then we move up here and maybe we close as a doji or maybe we close somewhere higher and then like maybe have like a small bar and then kind of like continue to march. Who knows, right? Ultimately, the same way that we acknowledged in here that there's a lot of bullish strength, there's a lot of bullish strength here, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Effectively 8 consecutive bullish bars. Yes, I'm even considering this bar to be bullish. And why is that? Even though it's a red bar, it's because the strength of this bar, massive strength of this bar, this was not able to retrace anything. So again, this is your long entry. If you haven't gotten long on any of these things, this bar, as weird as it feels because it's the strongest bar on the chart, it feels wrong to be longing above it because you're like, where is my stop supposed to be? Like, I'm really going to sit on a 12% stop? Not really, because the likelihood that your stop gets run is just so effing low. And especially after this bar, I would say that this bar, this red bar, is maybe the most crucial bar because it shows that bears had no ability to run back the pump at all. And so what was there to do? What was there left to do but buy? If you were trapped in a short, you had to just liquidate your short because you were hoping that you were going to get something like this and that maybe you could exit down here. Maybe we would have a continued pump like that. Obviously the dream was that we just keep going down, right? And then you're able to be in a great, like you're feeling great about your short, but that didn't happen. We didn't do anything here, and then there's nothing left to do but buy. Everybody has to buy at this point. So this bar here is an all-in long bar, and then this bar is your confirmation of that it's an all-in long because bears are pathetoid, can't do anything, right? And then at this point, you can even put your stop underneath here, and look, your stop never gets run. If you take a long here, your stop never gets run. If you are taking, you can give it a little bit more room, right? Probably once you get to like the midpoint of this candle, you aren't feeling as confident about your long. Like if we run it all the way back down to here, you're probably not feeling as confident about longing this all in long bar. But it just doesn't happen. You have too much strength, too much bullish strength here. So even now, like there should be a lot of bullish strength. But if not, maybe we take a revisit um, of like I think we said 40 mid 41s, right? Would be this level here. Let's take a look on yeah, this would just be a great level to revisit for a long. Like there's so much support in this level, right? Like as soon as we come back to this level, everybody's going to be longing, and then maybe we end up having this type of trading range. Sure, not unreasonable at all. The thing is that if we build this type of trading range, it becomes less likely that we go up to 48K. Um, at least soon. Maybe we do kind of like this, and then it takes time to get up to higher prices. But yeah, that's something that we can talk about next week and such. But I think right now the main thing that we're looking for is we're probably range bound here. Um, and now, of course, it is possible that the strength of this can just keep pushing up, and then we just never revisit lower levels. Maybe. We'd have to see, but I think right now this is quite strong. This is looking quite strong. Um, this push back down, we're like getting back into um, a level where we kind of, if you define the range this way previously using the body and not the wick here, right? Then we've re-entered that range, and oftentimes when you re-enter a range, just like with the channel, right? When we break out of a channel, let me just draw real quick. When we break out of a channel and we break back into it, much higher probability that we test the other side, and vice versa, right? We break out of the channel. When we break back into the channel, there's a much higher probability that we're going to test the low of the channel before we do anything else. So same kind of thing here. We are in a horizontal channel, and we've re-entered that channel. So higher probability that we're going to test the lows, or at least test this EMA at 44K. So yes, that is kind of what we're looking at right now. And I guess I'll be back in. Oh, we're going to have a 4-hour close in 10 minutes. So I guess I'll be back in 10 minutes to see how this looks. This is pretty nasty swing failure candle. Possible that the next candle is just all red wine. All right, yeah.